Our road has been paved with struggle.
All right. For a sermon time today, I want you to look at somebody next to you and say, the potential to produce. No, that was a little too quiet for me. I need y'all to scream it a little bit louder. Say the potential to produce. All right, y'all woke me up. Y'all woke me up. And I begin to think about this, y'all. You can stay right here, Chris. I begin to think about production. And the ancient Greeks believed wholeheartedly that no thought belonged to you. They believed that no thought belonged to you. They believed that every thought belonged to a god. They believed that if you thought about loving someone, that the god Athena had given you the thought. They believed that if you thought about fighting somebody, some of y'all had a fighting god spirit in your mind growing up. Anybody had that? Okay, 6 of y'all, amen. It is amazing because they believed that every thought that came into your mind was implanted or was the property of a god. And there's this famous author who basically wrote, he said, they thought that every thought belonged to a god, and now we see commercials about McDonald's, and we think that our thoughts belong to us when we go get a McDouble, no value, McValue fry. Y'all go to the store, don't try to act like y'all know how much it costs, $3.37 with a sweet tea. Y'all know how we do. And then we tell them how much it costs. Can I get $1 sweet tea? Don't try to upcharge me. I got $3.36 for the day. The question for us today, typically I don't ask the question is, so who do your thoughts belong to? Because for many of us, we have become so accustomed to being consumers in life that God is saying, but when are you going to start producing? We've been talking about over the last week or so that it's great and easy for us to come to church and get excited about what God is going to do for you. God is going to deal with your haters. God is going to bless you. Your promise is on the way. It's 2014. God's going to bring the green. Everything is exciting. But what happens when God is saying, okay, now what are you going to do? And what I believe God is challenging us to do in this text is move from consumers to being producers. When I look at this, there's two things I want to highlight during this conversation that Jesus is having. The first thing is, Jesus places an emphasis on understanding. Somebody say understanding. Understanding. And this is a big piece for me in church. It's a little soapbox, if I can stand on it for a second. Because I think all too often we get very comfortable coming to church and leaving, praising God, but not understanding anything. We were joking on Friday at the baby shower. Anybody grew up in a traditional church, you might have heard something like this before. God brought you from the miry clay into the marvelous light. Anybody ever heard that? About 7 of y'all. Half of us don't know what it means. But we just know we've heard it. And some of us have read texts and stories all of our lives, and we continue to go through the church motions, but we really don't understand. And what Jesus is having this conversation with his disciples, he seems a little concerned because he said, if you don't understand this, how can you be producers when I leave your side? And the question for us is the same thing today is, when you leave church, how can you be a producer if you don't leave with understanding? How can you truly be effective in spreading God's message if you don't understand it for yourself? And God is saying, the first thing I want to challenge you on today is I want you to become a person who seeks understanding. One of the biggest misconceptions we make is that asking questions is wrong. But look at your neighbor and say, I got a whole lot of questions. And I'm going to text them to you later. See, there's one more thing about this passage. Don't miss this. It says that the man starts to water his field, right? And put the seeds down, right? But look what it says. It says, all of the field belongs to the farmer. It's just that all of the field is not fertile. And so Sequoia, I was hyped when I read it, right? I got excited because I said, oh my God. God wasn't focused on how much land he had. He was just focused on the potential of his productivity. Many of us are trying to get quantity, and God said if you would just focus on quality, I'll be able to produce in your life. We're trying to get more property value, and God said, but if you just maximize the property you have. God has said, if you just could maximize the friendships you have, you don't need 3 other circles. You're never happy. Why? Because I've helped you become a consumer, but then I want to show you how to be a producer. And producers recognize that it's not how much you have, but it's how you use what you have. There was only a small part of what he had that was actually fertile. And God said, finding the fertile parts of your life is what will help you maximize your potential. What friendships are fertile? What relationships do you need to get out of because they're not good ground? What conversations do you need to start removing yourself because it's not good ground? What classes do you need to take for it to be good ground? What advisors, okay, let me help some people. What advisors do you need to meet with? Because some of them you meet with ain't good ground. And you have to start looking for the fertile ground in your life, not just a whole bunch of ground. And so there's a question I have for you today. It's simply this: what must I do to produce at the highest level of my potential? What must I do? 4 things that I'm going to have in my seat. First thing is this, y'all. Producers can't be pushovers. Somebody say pushover. Pushover. Say it a little bit louder. Say pushover. Pushover. You cannot be a pushover if you want to be a producer. You can't be scared of conflict. You can't be scared of controversy. But you cannot be afraid of the opposition that's going to come your way. Look at the text, verse 15. It says, the seed that fell on the footpath represents those who hear the message, but then second comes to what? Take it away. When somebody takes something from you, it's a different connotation. You didn't give it away. They took it from you. Producers can't be fearful of pressure. Verse 16 says the seed on the rocky soil represents those who hear the message and receive it with joy, but they don't have deep roots. Watch this. So they don't last long. They fall away as soon as they got some problems, or they get talked about, or they get subtweeted, or they get DM'd. Soon as some problems happen, they be like, forget it. I don't want to sing no more. I don't want to be on the dance ministry. I quit. Because I don't want to deal with nobody's problems. I don't want to deal with persecution. Here's what's amazing, y'all. I was looking at some of the interviews for the Oscars, right? It's amazing because the Oscars is like the pinnacle. And Pharrell was doing an interview prior to the Oscars, y'all. And it was amazing because he was nominated for his song in Despicable Me 2, Happy. Right? Because I'm happy. And we get excited when we hear that song, right? We get happy, happy, happy. Ain't nothing but a church song, too. We're going to take a church song and put it in the world. Everybody knows, right? It's amazing. It's amazing, y'all. I was listening to his interview, and he said, what people don't know is that I had submitted 8 other submissions for that one single, and all of them got rejected. 8 other hits in my head. He was like, everyone I took to them, I was like, this is a hit. They was like, we gotta put a little pressure on you for real. That's cute, but it's not what we're going for. 8 other times he dealt with the rejection and the pressure of trying to live up to the moment or the scene that was being painted. And here's the beauty of pressure. He said, I can't even take credit for this hit because if those people wouldn't have pressured me 8 other times, we wouldn't have got the greatness of this song. And most of you don't realize that pressure can do one of 2 things. Either it can produce something valuable, or it can produce something broken. For many of you, every time you experience pressure in your life, you become broken. But God is saying the most precious jewels in the world are a product of pressure. And if you could ever learn to deal with the pressure of maximizing your potential, then I could be able to make you a great producer in the world. But many of us are afraid of pressure. Pressure is a part of the process of being a producer. Look at somebody and say, I need some pressure. I need some pressure. Hope feels impossible.
But we still believe in change. We believe